Got so into explaining everything, I did not realize how much time had elapsed. Each of these videos only has a 10-minute limit with the software I'm using. I'll try to speed things up and plow through as much as I can in the next 10 minutes. You can see the wax that was in these plugs. Here I am, I'm starting to form a tree. Began just pinching off little rolls of wax and putting them on the corners. I oriented these on the tree specifically so that the aluminum, as we poured it, would flow down through the top and through the piece. And I tried to keep these pieces as level as possible. This tree will sit vertical on the final. In fact, you can see it here. I tried to keep these faces as horizontal as possible, so that we wouldn't have any significant peaks and no issues related to aluminum not filling up the entire pattern, because we would go through and do a ceramic dip after this. So this was a big tree, a little ostentatious, I know. Before we added, well, actually, if I were to do this differently, or we were to do this differently, this portion of wax I'd extend downwards. Why is that? Because you can see it was a sunny day. As all of these little arms, these were supporting this central gate coming down, and because the wax was pliable, it was sinking. So I'd adjust these, get these all nice and level like I was talking, and then the entire core would start sinking. By the time I got back around, rather than being up like this, they'd be more at an angle like that, which was not desirable. So if I were to do this different, or I should say when I do this again, I'll just extend this all the way down. Next step, molding the pieces. Standard ceramic shell. Here's Yuri doing the dips. This would have been the second or third dip, maybe fourth. And we had to set them up to dry. This was the time-consuming process. We followed an aggressive dipping schedule, 3 dips per day, and we were able to be all done in 3 days of dipping. The tree was not extremely level, so we used the propane tank to help prop it up. It's actually really close to being at equilibrium right there. Really close. That propane was just barely all that was needed. We didn't have much fluid, but we were able to roll it around and get all the surfaces covered. Prepping for the rods. Remember, we were doing bronze rods to put in little plugs for the color. Went out, got a dowel, cut it down, and did a green sand process. The idea was that half of the rod would be in the drag and half would be in the cope. And so here you can see them set up. After we got everything battened together the first time and we rammed the top flask, we pulled them off, and 3 of them came up with the top and 3 of them stayed down in the bottom. That was actually really encouraging for us. Made us feel like we did the job right. Here is Kristopher adding vents. We went ahead and added 3 vents on the top. Because of the way this is configured, we alright. Because of the way this this particular casting was configured, we decided we'd have 2 main gates, one in front, one in back, and then actually a pouring cup on each side. That way, if things didn't look like they were flowing properly, this metal coming down and getting through all 6 of these rods, we knew that was kind of unlikely to happen, at least not easily. So we had 4 pouring cups that we did, and we'd be able to chase anything out. And actually, here you can see Chris digging out some of those cups. One, two, he's working on the third, and there's a fourth one. Right here is where we're getting them together. This was a really, really bad situation for us, but I'll have to explain that in a few minutes. I don't want to give away the surprise. So, this is what our ceramic shell ended up looking like. This one on the left here, it was, I want to say 7 dips. This one right here is after the 9th. This might be the 6th, actually. Either way, I noticed we started not balancing it on the cup, but rather just these risers, or this ring, I'm sorry. That ended up working really, really well for us. It was unfortunate that we had to destroy this, because as a piece of abstract art, I actually think this is quite a lovely little piece. In the pouring, first off, we had to burn out this. We were concerned with the ABS expanding and ruining the shell, but 9 dips seemed to be okay, and it just burned out like crazy. You can see the little the wax and the ABS that burned out there. In fact, well, you can't see very much ABS because there wasn't much. The benefit of us filling it with wax with the vents and gates, that melted out first, and then the rest of it just followed. Here we are loading the furnace. We used Herculean or Herculoy bronze because it's what we had available. I do have some videos. I will post those on YouTube showing what happened. You don't need to see those videos. A couple of them were like how much fire was coming out of the bottom of this mold after it was, I mean, it was a significant amount of fire coming out. So I got a video of that. I thought that was really cool, and that was just vaporized wax for the most part. And then I've got videos of each of these pours, both the bronze and the aluminum. This is what it looked like after we poured the aluminum. I'll also post on pictures of us getting breaking out this shell, because this shell was difficult to break out. It was time consuming, and it was a delicate process. One of the biggest problems was we would hit pieces off of this tree and they would break. The corner pieces of a Rubik's Cube, they've got this small little piece right here that interlocks with the rest of the cube. We actually sheared off that a couple times just trying to break this. So if we did this differently, our current gates are about this big. I would be inclined to see if they could be made this big so that this becomes the weak point and that breaks, not the corner here. Going back down, the cleaning up. This was the problem with our sand casting. We must have put the drag and cope on rotated 180 degrees from what they should have. Somehow it got flipped around, and this was a failed casting. You can actually see this would be the bottom half of a dowel, and this would be the top half. It does not line up. Same thing down here, and they line up differently, but at a different spacing. So that's why we're pretty certain that we just got that on backwards. So that was a fail. This is the aluminum after we break it out, the front and back. I was really, really pleased with the detail we maintained. Right here, you can actually see my fingerprint left over from the wax. So this is clearly a very, very good technique. Just difficult to implement. For getting these pieces out, and I'm going to run out of time, you're going to see that in part 3.